Not everyone has the courage to say outright that they dislike you. Most will simply smile, exchange a few polite words, offer perfunctory compliments, and maintain just enough distance to conceal what they truly feel. In a world of courteous masks, few speak the truth. They speak through attitude, through glances, through energy. And if you are not mindful enough to notice, you gradually lose your sense of peace amidst relationships that seem harmless. There are smiles that are not born of genuine warmth. There are compliments that sound pleasant but leave a bitter aftertaste. There are people who constantly appear caring, yet only show up when they need something from you. And worse, there are those who dislike you but pretend otherwise because they need the image, need to maintain the connection, or simply need you in a role that benefits them. The Stoic does not flee from reality. They face it with calm. They understand that it is better to endure the pain of truth once than to suffer endlessly in illusion. Learning to see clearly who is genuine toward you does not make you cold. It awakens you. And awakening is the foundation of all freedom. So in this video, we will explore the 7 most subtle signs that someone doesn't like you and is hiding it. Not so you become paranoid or bitter, but so that you can protect your energy, your time, and the dignity that belongs to you alone. The first and easiest sign to notice is jokes meant to belittle you. The language of contempt rarely appears in straightforward words. It hides in laughter, in so-called harmless jokes. But behind those just kidding lines, there is often a small, sharp, cold blade, concealed within the hand that pats your shoulder. People may say, "I'm just joking," or "Don't take it so seriously," but your own feelings do not lie. Every time you hear them joke, you feel a slight drop in your chest, not because you lack a sense of humor, but because you sense the underlying meaning. These words don't make you laugh. They make you question yourself. And that is precisely their goal, to plant a seed of doubt. A wise person does not strike with hands, they strike with words. Someone aiming to belittle you will not use outright insults. They use laughter. Because laughter makes it difficult for the target to respond. If you react, they say you're too sensitive, can't take a joke. If you stay silent, they continue, knowing you won't dare to resist what is called fun. The trap lies there on the boundary between politeness and self-respect. Stoicism teaches that no insult has power unless you allow it to touch you. But that doesn't mean you must remain silent forever. The Stoic is silent not out of fear, but because they know how to choose the right moment and the proper way to respond. Calmness is not surrender. It is preparation for a deliberate response. And in this case, the strongest reaction is sometimes a simple, steady gaze, a look that lets the other person see clearly that they cannot unsettle you. A joke that crosses the line needs to be stopped. There's no need to raise your voice or argue. Just a simple, clear statement will suffice. That's not a joke to me. The words are gentle yet heavy. They don't insult anyone, but they reestablish boundaries. They compel the other person to reflect, not because you're shaming them, but because you force them to confront themselves. Those who disrespect you will feel uneasy in the face of such calmness because they expect a reaction, an outburst, or an excuse. But you give them none of that. You give them silence, and silence always carries the weight of control. All disrespect begins with small things: a tease, a joke, a smirk. If you let it pass, it becomes a habit. And that habit grows until you become the target of humor you never agreed to participate in. The Stoic does not allow this to happen, not out of arrogance, but because they know that self-respect is the foundation of all relationships. True humor lifts people up. It does not push them down. It creates joy, not confusion. And a person with genuine kindness does not seek pleasure in diminishing others. So if someone constantly jokes to belittle you, see it as a signal not to get angry, but to awaken. The second sign that Stoic philosophy highlights is sarcastic compliments. Some compliments are like a funhouse mirror you see yourself, but the reflection is distorted. They come wrapped in the guise of kindness, yet hidden inside is a subtle, precise sting. The person smiles, their words sound gentle, but what lingers in your chest is a cold, nameless streak. A genuine compliment brings calm to your mind. A fake one makes you analyze, wondering whether you were lifted up or put down. Well done for someone like you. I didn't expect you could do that. You look better than usual. On the surface, these sound like praise, but in reality, they are subtle put-downs cloaked as kindness. The most dangerous part? The speaker can deny any responsibility. If you react, they simply shrug and say, "I was just complimenting you." This is a highly sophisticated form of manipulation in modern human interactions, hurting while maintaining a good image. They want to feel a sense of power in the exchange, keeping you below them, yet avoid being seen as the bad person. So they compliment, but carefully, planting a hook in your mind. A sarcastic compliment isn't meant to lift you up. It's meant to keep you in the position they believe you belong. Sarcastic compliments often come from insecurity. People rarely try to put others down unless they fear seeing themselves as lesser. So when someone teases you under the guise of praise, understand that what they see in you threatens their sense of self. They try to make you doubt yourself simply because they can't tolerate your composure, your consistency, or your authenticity. In that moment, your calmness is the strongest response. Not every compliment deserves acceptance. Some are like a velvet glove covering a fist. When a compliment makes you feel small, trust that feeling. It doesn't mean you're overly sensitive. It means you're awakening, and awakening is always the first step toward freedom. So don't fear offending others when facing sarcasm. Losing a false relationship is always cheaper than losing your self-respect. The Stoic understands that silence can be the most graceful refusal, and calmness is an armor nothing can pierce. Someone may compliment you with words, but how they make you feel reveals the truth. All you need to do is trust that truth. Without anger, without reaction, simply walk away. Head held high, heart at peace. The third sign is being deliberately forgotten. Forgetting has its own sound, a soft closing of a door so subtle you almost don't hear it. No one ever announces that they're gradually removing you from their world. They simply forget to text, accidentally overlook you, or happen to be busy right when you're needed. And just like that, you vanish from plans, conversations, and moments you once shared. There's no argument, no farewell, just a growing emptiness, bit by bit, until you realize you've been pushed to the sidelines. The pain of being forgotten doesn't come from the action itself, but from the pretense. They still smile when they see you, still exchange polite words, still maintain just enough friendliness to make you think everything is fine. Yet in their eyes, in the timing of their replies, in the smallest details, you sense that something has shifted. An invisible thread that once connected you is now severed. But they don't speak it, and you don't dare to ask. Being forgotten is a test of self-respect. It asks, how much do you need others to validate your worth? If the answer is a lot, then you've handed over your peace of mind to someone else. A Stoic does not do this. They understand that a person's value is not determined by whether others remember or forget, but by their ability to maintain dignity even when ignored. The world operates on two types of energy, the energy of attention and the energy of indifference. The first elevates you, the second teaches you awareness. When someone forgets you, don't see it as a loss, see it as a purification. Their absence simply creates space for those who genuinely want to stay. Not everyone who leaves is a loss, and not everyone who stays is a reward. When you realize you've been pushed to the sidelines, don't rush to justify others. They're probably just busy. Maybe I'm overthinking. Such thoughts only slow down the awakening process. Truth is rarely loud. It usually just stands there, waiting for you to have the courage to face it. And when you do, you'll see there's no need for anger or hurt. Simply step back, allowing the distance to reveal its true form. And if they still don't notice, let them forget you. Let them walk away. Sometimes being forgotten by someone else is the way you remember yourself. Because in the end, what's truly frightening is not being forgotten by others. It's forgetting how to live with your own dignity. The fourth sign is busy, but only with you. Not all distances are measured in feet or miles. Some are measured in excuses. And among them, the word busy is one of the most subtle excuses ever invented. Sorry, I've just been so busy lately. It sounds gentle, reasonable, polite. Yet sometimes behind those two syllables, it's not about being overwhelmed. It's a choice. We all have 24 hours in a day, but the difference between someone who is sincere and someone who is indifferent lies in how they arrange those 24 hours. Someone who truly cares will find the time. Someone indifferent will find an excuse. And their favorite excuse: I'm busy. Busy is the perfect coat to hide indifference, because no one can blame a person who has too much going on. But the Stoic is not fooled by that veneer. They know that priorities reveal the true nature of a relationship. If someone is constantly too busy for you, but always present in other stories, other plans, other happy moments with others, you don't need any further proof. You are not a detective. You just need to observe. Stoicism doesn't teach us to be suspicious. It teaches us to see clearly. Someone who doesn't prioritize you isn't evil. They're simply being honest in the only way they know how. And your task isn't to change them. It's to accept the reality without losing your own peace. In reality, people are rarely truly too busy. Most of the time, they simply choose not to spend time on things that no longer feel important to them. A person can work 12 hours a day, yet they will still find a way to text someone they care about. They may be exhausted, but they will still carve out a few minutes to listen to someone they value. When someone doesn't do that, it's not because they lack time, it's because you are no longer a priority in their life. The hardest part is not accepting someone's indifference, but stopping yourself from convincing yourself that everything is still the same. When you keep trying to believe that they're genuinely busy, you're denying your own feelings. You're rejecting the truth your intuition has already spoken. You are no longer a priority, and nothing hurts more than waiting in a place where you are no longer expected. Withdrawing from that relationship isn't an act of bitterness, it's an act of self-respect. The Stoic doesn't measure people by their words, but by their actions. And when actions have spoken clearly, no further explanation is needed. The world offers countless reasons for people to avoid one another, but there is only one reason people truly come together: genuine desire. If someone no longer has that desire for you, release them with serenity. When you stop chasing those who are always too busy, you make space for those who truly want to be present. And that is the wisdom of the Stoic. Not everyone who is absent deserves blame, and not everyone who stays deserves trust. But the one who chooses wisely, who is worthy of their time, that person is truly free. The fifth sign is avoiding touch, avoiding closeness. Distance isn't always created with words. Sometimes it forms through the slightest lean away, a half step back when you move closer, or a gaze that drifts elsewhere just as you approach. No verbal refusal is needed. The body speaks for them. The silence of body language often reveals more truth than any carefully chosen words. Some people dislike you but don't have the courage to say it, so their body speaks instead. A limp handshake, an awkward hug, or a subtle avoidance so slight you think it's accidental. But intuition knows. Intuition always knows. The body senses what the mind tries to deny. Distance doesn't need to be declared. It only needs to be felt. The Stoic understands that nonverbal cues are a mirror of the soul, and that mirror rarely lies. Someone may hide discomfort in their words, but they cannot hide it in their eyes. They may maintain a smile, but they cannot conceal the subtle retreat of their shoulders or the coldness in their hand. These are the delicate signals that a person grounded in inner peace can perceive without judgment. When someone avoids physical contact, there's no need to ask why. Simply observe. Most answers won't come from their words, but from the distance they create. A Stoic does not try to close the gap by pleading, explaining, or trying to be nicer. They respect the boundary even when it's set by someone else. Respect is the measure of self-worth. You cannot demand closeness from others, nor can you demand sincerity from a heart that has closed itself off. Some people avoid touch, not because they hate you, but because they fear feeling. Your presence forces them to confront themselves, makes them uneasy, and exposes truths within them they don't want to see. So they keep distance to avoid facing it. And you don't need to resent that. They are protecting themselves, and you simply protect your peace. Distance isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's a reminder that not everyone belongs in your energy space. A Stoic does not force connection. They understand that true closeness cannot be manufactured. It arises naturally. When that natural harmony is gone, any effort is just clinging. When you notice someone avoiding contact, hold yourself tall, maintain a calm gaze, and offer a gentle smile. Do not lower your head and do not force comfort. Let them have the space they need while you hold your own. Your silence will speak for you. I do not force anyone close, and I will not allow anyone to diminish me. A Stoic measures relationships not by the frequency of touch, but by the respect in every gesture. A handshake without warmth is still better than a half-hearted hug. And sometimes knowing when to maintain distance is the kindest form of care for them and for yourself. If someone truly wants to be close, they will step forward on their own. If they don't, do not step further. Closeness, when only one-sided, is always draining. Hold your posture steady, maintain inner calm. In a world full of friction, knowing when not to touch is its own form of wisdom. Disappearing when you need them most is another sign that someone dislikes you and is hiding it. When life is calm, people naturally gather around us. But when darkness falls, footsteps grow scarce. Silence during difficult days is the most accurate test of who truly stays. And then you realize some people don't need to say goodbye. They simply vanish at the moment you are most vulnerable. That absence initially weighs heavily on your heart, not because you've lost them, but because you once trusted them. Yet for the Stoic, that pain is a light revealing the truth. No one truly abandons you in your struggles. They simply return to the place they always had in your life, outside. When everything is calm, anyone can stay close to the light. But when the light dims, only those with steadfast hearts dare to remain in the darkness with you. Those who disappear when you need them have often long left in spirit. Their bodies just haven't caught up yet. They cannot bear the weight of sorrow because true presence demands more than words. True presence isn't sending a few comforting messages. It's daring to stay silently beside someone when there is nothing cheerful to say. And not everyone has the patience or the heart to do that. When help does not appear, do not see it as betrayal, see it as a purification. Life in its own way always removes relationships that exist only for convenience. Loyalty cannot survive where comfort is threatened. When people vanish in the storm of your life, it is a sign. They came only to share the sunshine, not to endure the thunder with you. The Stoic does not cling to anyone in a storm. They stand still, letting the wind carry away what does not belong to them. The absence of others never takes away their own presence. When one hand leaves, they do not collapse. They simply tighten their grip on the remaining hand and stay upright. This is not coldness, it is self-respect in solitude. Let their absence teach you what false presence never could, that you do not need anyone to be strong. True maturity is not measured by how many people stand beside you, but by your ability to stand firm when no one remains. The final sign this video highlights is speaking ill of you behind your back. Betrayal rarely begins with a knife. It begins with words. Not the words spoken to your face, but the whispers behind you. Since ancient times, humans have known how to wield language as a weapon, light as the wind, yet capable of shattering an entire reputation. And what makes it most dangerous is not the power of the words, but the cowardice of the speaker. They will not confront you directly. They wait until you are absent, when no one can challenge them, to plant seeds of doubt in the ears of others. A distorted story, a detail added, a casual, "I was just telling" bit by bit. They turn your image into the version they want others to believe. And when you show up, everything seems as if nothing ever happened. They smile, call you by a familiar name, speak as friends do. But the truth has already been shredded and scattered, like dust that cannot be gathered. The Stoic observes this with calm eyes. They understand that words only have power if you allow them to penetrate your mind. If you stand firm, those words simply pass by, like wind brushing over stone. No one can truly harm you with rumors unless you believe those rumors can. Stoicism teaches that it is not what others say about us that wounds us, but how we respond to it. Those who speak behind your back are not really talking about you. They are revealing themselves. They expose what they lack: self-confidence, inner peace, or a position they have not attained. By putting others down, they temporarily lift themselves up. They live on borrowed energy, using your reputation to fuel their fleeting sense of importance. But that energy runs out quickly, because the truth never sides with the deceitful for long. Do not rush to justify yourself. Do not seek out everyone to set things straight. Reason can never quench the thirst of those who love gossip. Every word you speak only fans the flames. The Stoic does not fight fire with wind. They extinguish it with silence and dignity. They know that the one who ignites the fire will eventually choke on its smoke. Anyone can hurt you once, but only you can allow them to hurt you a second time. The Stoic does not retaliate, for retaliation only gives energy to what is unworthy. They remain silent and continue living an upright life. After all, honor is not protected by words, it is upheld through action. Not everyone who smiles at you is sincere, and not everyone who leaves is a loss. People can be polite without being genuine, kind while hiding contempt. They may speak warm words, yet their eyes remain cold. They may stay by your side when the light is bright, but vanish as soon as darkness falls. The world is not cruel, it is simply honest. It reveals clearly who is real, who is false, who should stay, and who you need to let go. The 7 signs you just heard aren't meant to make you suspicious of everyone. They are meant to help you recognize where your energy is being drained, where you need to step back, and where it's truly worth staying. A Stoic isn't afraid of being disliked. They fear losing their inner peace by clinging to relationships that no longer belong to them. They understand that no one is obligated to like them, but they are responsible for living in a way that earns respect, even when love or approval is absent. If someone makes jokes to put you down, let them talk to themselves. If someone gives you a backhanded compliment, smile and walk away. If someone deliberately forgets you, be thankful they just saved you the trouble of misplaced trust. If someone is always too busy whenever you're involved, let them stay busy without waiting on you. If someone avoids physical contact, hold your posture and respect that distance. If someone disappears when you need them, let their absence teach you how to stand strong. And if someone talks behind your back, let your calmness be the sharpest answer of all. Ultimately, everything others do says more about them than it does about you. But how you choose to respond reveals a great deal about who you are. Stoicism doesn't shield you from hurt. It teaches you to move through it while preserving your dignity. You don't need to prove yourself, explain yourself, or claim victory. True strength isn't about making others afraid. It's about maintaining your inner peace even when they fail to show you respect. If this video made you pause and reflect, share it with someone who is quietly enduring a lack of respect. They might need to hear these words not to fight back, but to remember that they deserve respect. And if you want to continue your journey of reclaiming inner strength, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Here, we don't learn to defeat others. We learn to master ourselves through stillness, self-discipline, and unwavering self-respect.